Hello, 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 ladies. This is the concealed mistress. And I'm concealed because some of the things that I may say may be inflammatory and you may not agree with. And I'm also concealed because some of you motherfuckers are crazy when you don't agree with the message. So, ladies, today I am starting my Ugly Man series. That's right, ladies, the Ugly Man series. Let's talk about how horrible these ugly men are. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to preface this video by saying I make a lot of jokes. I laugh a lot. This stuff is funny, but yet I'm serious. Okay? So, ladies, go ahead and get you a glass of wine, get you a beer, go ahead and get you some Hennessy or some Ciroc. Get you something to smoke on, maybe some tweeds. Go ahead and maybe, get you a Black and Mild. Have you a Winston, a Salem, a Cool. Go ahead and have one of those skinny cigarettes like a Virginian Slims or a Capri or good old Benson and Hedges and pull up and listen to this message about ugly men. Now I'm going to tell a story before I go in on ugly men. And the story is this. Many years ago, I gave an ugly man a chance, maybe about 8 or 9 years ago, right? We dated off and on. I can only say maybe twice during all those years that we were actually a couple. Because I found out that ugly mother sucker was a player. Yes, I did. He was an absolute gosh darn player. I was in shock because I wouldn't think that someone that looked like that was a player. But see, ladies, this is where we mess up. We think when men look a certain way, they're not attractive, they're fat, they're old. Hell, they may be handicapped or infirm. We think they're not out here getting pussy. Yeah, they're out here getting pussy. Probably more than what you could ever imagine. So don't ever think that. Especially you young women, you're starting to date, you give an ugly man a chance. Honey, he will fool you. A lot of them have learned how to develop charm and charisma. So that's how they end up getting women. Because for us ladies, we will look past the face if the man treats us very well and is a gentleman, right? We'll overlook a lot of things when a man treats us well. We'll overlook that he's broke. Hell, we might even overlook the fact that he might smell. Well, at least I haven't done that before. I normally say something. That's probably why my relationships don't last because I'll say, well, anyway, let me get back to what I was saying. So I met this guy and we used to actually work together. And he was a charmer, great gentleman. When you were with him, you had his undivided attention. Let me go ahead and describe him. He was actually tall, about 6'2", 6'3", and from the neck down, he had a great physique. Now, you could tell at one time in life, he might have been a very skinny guy, but he started lifting weights and pumping up. And honey, when I first started dating him and seeing him, he was fine. He was very sexy. I was very, attracted to the body. But once I got to know him and he grew on me, oh, honey, I liked this man. I had great and deep feeling for this man. In the beginning of the relationship, you ever notice, probably about the first 3 months, it's hot and heavy. And then sometimes these men fall back. Well, this is what got me suspicious. He started to fall back a little. And when he started to fall back a little, I started snooping. And I found out some things. I looked under his bed and I found some earrings and I said, oh, he's got women. I didn't confront him right away. I ended up confronting him a little later. But what ended up happening was we didn't break up uh, until maybe like a couple of months later. And once we broke up, you know, I was still getting it in with him. I did enjoy our sex life. I will say that sort of have a high sex drive, and he actually fulfilled the need very much. Well, at this point, we had broken up, and I was still going to his house, doing what grown-ups do. I ended up, we ended up watching Netflix. And when we were not watching Netflix, there was a lady's name that appeared. Now, it was a common name, but it was spelled a little differently. And I asked him, I said, well, who was such and such? And he said, oh, that's my friend. I said, oh, okay. Kept that in mind. Now, keep in mind, I believe at this point we had broken up, right? So, we'd broken up, and I remember I was on Facebook. And on Facebook, it will show people that you might know or friends of friends. Well, I saw this particular person, this particular lady that I used to work with on Facebook. And I said, oh, it's such and such. Oh my God, I haven't seen her or talked to her since we worked together. We were supposed to actually go out to the clubs. And by the time I came back to work, she was gone. So I friended her, but I looked at the spelling of her name and I said, oh, I put two and two together because my ex, myself, and this woman, we all worked together, right? And I said, oh my God, I think this is the person's name, the woman's name that I saw on the Netflix account. So I went down her timeline. She accepted my friend request, and I saw a picture. And he was in the background, and so was his apartment. And I was like, uh-oh, I didn't know they had a thing. So I messaged her and I said, hey, I think we have a mutual friend. And she responded. We exchanged numbers. And that night, we talked about 2 hours on the phone, exchanging information. Now, listen, ladies, I don't ever blame the woman. And I don't get mad with the woman. I actually blame the man, right? Well, the whole time he and I were dating, I found out that he was also dating and seeing this other girl off and on as well for about 2 years prior to me. She said he was a habitual cheater. She was always catching him cheat. I was like, yeah, I found some things under his bed. Yeah. I figured he was. I just didn't know it was with you. I could never pinpoint a specific person. And I'm saying to myself, this man is fugly. And he's got women. Now I'm going to say this. After I told her about he and I, which they had gotten back together, and I didn't know it, right? Well, what I figured out was she came back on the scene while he and I were still dating or starting our relationship. So that's why he began to fall back. Well, this was about, I want to say September of the year. She confronted him and she asked me, she said, well, are you gonna say something to him? I said, why would I say anything to him? We're not a couple anymore. It wouldn't benefit me to share anything with him. So at any rate, he got mad with me. We fell out. We didn't speak for months. And then he came hanging around again. Okay. I gave him another shot. You know us women. We give men chances that we shouldn't. And against my better judgment at the time, I did. Now, I won't say that we were in a relationship. I will not say that. I want to say that we were friends with benefits type scenarios. We were still going out on dates, and then we were getting it in. However, during this time, I found out more and more about him. See, ladies, what you have to understand about the concealed mistress is that she is a grade A snooper. And I always run into stuff and find stuff that I shouldn't. Now, I've learned over the years, when you are a snooper, sometimes you don't need to let the other person know or individuals know what you found. You've got to wait at a later time. And that takes great patience, which is something a long time ago I didn't have. I would call someone out, call a man out right away. No, you've got to build your case. Well, long story short, let me fast forward some years later. There was one year we were friends with benefits. We were getting along really good. We were going out and doing things. And he left, went on a trip for his birthday, came back, and he was like, he wanted to be in a relationship, which I found to be weird. I was like, why? We don't get along, right? So anyway, that year was interesting with him. We weren't together actually the whole year. Um, I found out that, hey, he was still seeing other people or whatnot. But when I found out, I didn't say anything to him. He doesn't know till this day that what I found and what I know. I will say this though, using one of the names that I found, that one of the women's names that I found, I catfished his ass. Oh God, the concealed mistress has done so many terrible things. Yes. I'm not gonna lie, I look back, I enjoyed every single one of them. Anyway, I digress. So listen, ladies, I was smitten with this ugly guy, and I was surprised how charismatic he was. Let me tell you something. All the years that I had known him, all the nights that I'd spent the night by his house, honey, there was not one time a woman ever came knocking on his door. When you were in his company, honey, that phone was off. I never heard whether it was his iPad, his phone. I never heard any little alerts and things like that. I think the most I ever saw was like little pop-ups from ESPN on his iPad, right? But the way that he behaved like there was no one else. And if you weren't paying attention to his behavior, you didn't know that there were other people. He was that slick and that good, ladies. But for me, what I saw, what the signs were, was that all of a sudden things were hot and heavy in the beginning and he started to fall back. Listen, this man was the greatest lesson of my life. Because you know what I discovered in that time period? I didn't know shit about men. I didn't know anything about relationships. And so it took me on a journey to learn about men, to learn about relationships, and to learn about myself. Now, I must admit, ladies, in the beginning, I went down the rabbit hole, and some of the things that I listened to, I even bought a book or two, a course or two, bought a lot of relationship books, got a lot of information from those books and courses and things. But honey, I'm at a totally different place now than where I was in the beginning. Because back then, I was concerned about keeping this ugly man or keeping a man in general. Now, can I be honest? I don't really give a shit. But this man, this ugly man, not only played me, but he played other women. Now, the women that I know about, I must say, ladies, I am more attractive than them, right? However, this is what I learned. It doesn't matter how attractive you are. You can be pretty, you can be beautiful, you can be fine and have an hourglass shape with a big ass and big tits. You can be tall, you can be short, you can be black, you can be white, you can be fat. It does not matter. They will fuck over you just the same. Whether they're ugly, whether they're handsome, whether they're in between. They will fuck over you just the same, ladies. So, one of the lessons that I learned, sometimes you shouldn't give certain men a chance. And I'm going to say this, don't give ugly men a chance. Let them die out. Let them die out. Don't give them a chance. You know, you're thinking, well, You're probably the best looking woman he ever had. Girl, no, you're not. You're just one of many. And a lot of times, an ugly man, he doesn't discriminate. He will deal with anybody who will give him some pussy. Okay? Bottom line. Now, you might be the trophy that he takes out on his arm, but at night, he's fucking Big Bertha in the bed in the cover of night. See, they've got their women they take out in their light, and they got their women that they keep in the dark. So, ladies, I hope you learned something from my story. I might have been all over the place, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Sometimes some of these men go with your gut. Don't give them a chance. If something's not right, if you're not attracted to him, and you say, oh, well, he'll grow on me. He'll grow on me. Yeah. And then you regret giving him a chance because he turns out to be the biggest player or the biggest problem of your life. So I hope you got something from my message today. I'm going to talk a little bit more about ugly men and how they are. But I want to say this. I am going to talk about men in general. And I'm going to talk about maybe your best option is to maybe work on your own self-love and self-care and give dating and men a break. Every now and then, I'm going to have some posts from some of the dating groups that I'm in. I'm going to make sure that the ladies' names are covered so I don't expose who they are. I'm not into exposing people. I like to stay anonymous. I like to keep who I'm talking about anonymous. I'm not trying to destroy lives. However, I'm going to use them as a sort of a teaching tool and reference. What I notice in a lot of these dating groups that I'm on Facebook, I'm an older person now. I'm on Facebook mostly, right? It is the air of desperation of women trying to have a relationship and looking for that one. It's really bad. It's really bad. I sit back and I wonder to myself, do men have dating groups where they are talking about relationships and finding the one? Or maybe those dating groups are how to play a woman and get more pussy, right? That's probably what it is. Women, we want to know how to be better women. We want to know how to sacrifice. We want to know how to just give. It's ridiculous. But every now and then, I'm going to put some of these posts on here, and we're going to talk about it, analyze it. Also, look at some articles, look at some videos. This is basically going to be relationship stuff. This channel is going to be basically building women up. I'm going to have jokes. I'm going to say some crazy shit. I know, get over it. You'll be mad. Put it in the comments. Fine. But what I would love for you to do before I get off of this video is to subscribe, comment, and I will see you later. I will have more videos. I will tell more stories. Thank you for listening.